the time that you give us all for this April 23, 2024. We here have artificial intelligence topic presented by IBM Giovanna Svizzero Beneti. From Microsoft is Jose Prieto. Giovanna Svizzero Beneti is in Sao Paulo, Brazil, and she's joining us from there. And thank you. I know it's very late for you, and thank you for being here with us. And Jose Prieto is in Seattle, Washington, and he's from Puerto Rico, like I am as well. So I will do a very brief speaker introduction, tell you about the next latinXfactor that we will be having. Then I will stop sharing my screen so that the presenters can. This is not going to be a presentation, by the way. This is going to be a very informal talk of all the questions you may have about artificial intelligence to be addressed to both IBM and Microsoft. And then please stay till the end and let's all join to tell these speakers how well they did by filling out the evaluation of the event. Now, at the end, that will show, I will not show it right now, I will show it at the end, the QR code for the evaluation. So my name is Ana Rodriguez. For other circles, I am Dr. Ana Rodriguez, but not for any of you. I am currently responsible for the content of these events, both for latinXfactor, She Breeds, RLDCs, and NILA. I have a doctorate degree from the University of Massachusetts in Amherst in organizational development and training, which I did when Christopher Columbus discovered America. And I have been working at SHIP last September for 5 years. And last year I was awarded a lifetime membership, which I'm very proud of because everything I do is for the members and for these wonderful IPCs that are here presenting. Giovanna Svizzero Beneti brings over 17 years of supply chain management expertise, excelling in logistics, procurement, service.
Management, right? If you do your international business.
It's like that. Yeah, that's some.
Yep.
Yeah. Get some management classes in there. When are you gonna go to the?
Hold on. Let me finish, Roger. Hold on for a second. Initiatives currently leading strategic transformations for a digital end-to-end and AI-enabled supply chain. She drives a growth mindset culture and integrates technologies like Watson X and Gen AI. In her global integration leadership role, she significantly contributes to a strategy, execution, and transformation, extending services to clients in 170 plus countries. As a 2021 IBM Manager Champion, she is a role model in leadership and engagement. Giovanna actively promotes diversity, engaging in initiatives for Hispanic talent attraction, awareness, and retention. And she was honored with the HITEC 50 or High Tech 50 award in 2024. Congratulations, Giovanna.
Thank you. It was such a nice presentation.
Awesome. Jose Prieto was born in Quebradillas, Puerto Rico, Boricua, para que tú lo sepas, a small town in the northwest of Puerto Rico. He has a family background of dairy farming. Jose was always surrounded by cows as a child. He is a senior director, principal group of data science, analytics, and artificial intelligence. He runs the Central Data Intelligence for the CISO organization and has been working at Microsoft for 16 years. Jose has performed many different roles such as finance, solution management, program management, and data analytics, and has worked in many areas of the company, including manufacturing operations in Puerto Rico, product groups, Office Azure, IT, and now cybersecurity. He enjoyed every role and every part of the company he had the opportunity to work in. Thank you and welcome you both. So for my final slide for now, Please, our next Latinx Factor will happen next Monday from 7 to 8 Eastern Time. It's about time management, debunking 3 common myths that often hinder productivity and efficiency. Please join us on the 29th. Register. We send that in the Ship Nation. If you are, if you receive the emails from Ship, so that you can register for this fabulous event. So for now, I am stop sharing my screen and I leave you with Giovanna Svizzero Beneti and Jose Prieto. And the first question that I have for you both, please tell us a little bit about yourselves. We'll take 5 minutes for both of you besides the biography that I mentioned. And Giovanna, if you can start telling us a little bit about you, and then Jose, you can start after her. Go ahead. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone, for joining. I'm really excited for this conversation. And you did a very good job. You know, I just feel so good about everything you said. It's all true, but I'm in IBM for like 17, almost 18 years. I started as an intern. So I grow my expertise really in supply chain. I started in procurement and I was like manufacturing service parts, and now hardware itself, service. And now I'm really on starting this journey with the digital supply chain and how we can better work on our day by day by using technology to really facilitate our day by day. It's amazing to see how we can transform, but it's also amazing to see how much the people makes a difference in making it happen. And I think this is what we really need to combine and really matter the most. Bring people together and having people excited about it. It's what makes a difference and make us successful on this digital transformation journey. So, Jose, I pass over to you.
All right. Thank you, Giovanna. I don't even know if I can compare to your intro. That was so cool. So I just say that as Ana mentioned already, very Puerto Rican, very pirata from Quebradillas. I started in Microsoft 16 years ago. I did not start as an intern, but I started almost like an intern when I was way younger than I am today. Before that, I worked in Caterpillar. Before that, I worked in a manufacturing operation while I was in college. And that kind of helped me big time into getting into Microsoft, like all my experience of work before actually like being a graduate student. And then in Microsoft, I have a lot of opportunity because the company is so big. We can do so many different things. If you're a curious person, I want to learn a lot. You definitely, can run around, move around in the organization, in the company, and do a lot of different stuff and keep yourself entertained. And I'm a very curious person, as you're going to learn as we go. And I'm a person that always like to learn. And as Giovanna well mentioned, for me, people is the biggest deal. From my upbringing around cows and people also, because there's people that have to run the cows and milk them, all the way to the job that I do today with a bunch of way more intelligent people than me. So I'm super honored to be here, and I look forward for all your questions. And I will tell you right now, I am incredibly transparent and I talk a lot. So just be careful with what you ask for, because it may take a full hour to answer.
Please, everybody, this is not a presentation. This is an informal conversation with Jose Prieto from Microsoft, Giovanna from IBM. And I want to we prepare some questions, so I'm going to throw the first question out there. There is a lot of talk about generative AI and the potential of it in transforming business and the way we work. What would that mean for a new employee, and how can that individual get involved? Can you give an example?
You want to
Okay,
go first?
I'll take that one. Yes. So I think the easiest way to think about Gen AI is really thinking about how this is making our business different and for the better. So GenAI is there to help everybody on the day-by-day task. So instead of spending a lot of time collecting different data, putting together, analyzing table, reading through a lot of news, GenAI is really helping you to combine all this and give you the information that you need to really take your decision. So we would spend more time and more energy trying to solve problems versus collecting information. I think that's the key. So, and then how we can get involved. The good news is that we are just starting, the Gen AI. So we are all on the same start line, which is good because we're all beginning at the same time. So I would say if you're technical, if you do have technical skills or if you're studying technical skills, that's amazing because you can get really deep into it to help the business. But if you're not, like I do not have a technical background, it's fine too, because what we need to do is really understand the potential of it and how it could leverage the day by day. So the biggest advice I would give for everybody is just, raise your hand and say, I want to help. How can I help? Start learning the basics. What's the difference? What GenAI means? What's machine learning? What's large language model? What's prompt engineering? Those are all basic things you can learn, and then you just volunteer for a project. Even though it's just a small piece of it, you're gonna get to know it. You're gonna get to understand how it goes on the day by day. So I think that would be my biggest point here. Try to get familiar, try to get involved, even if it's small piece of it.
I echo what you were saying, Giovanna. The other thing that I would say is the only way you get better at it is by using something. So the more you can use it, the more you will understand how to interact with it. Because there's an art out of it, right? Like everything. You need to give the right context so that you can get the right answers. So it may take you some time to get used to how to interact with the generative AI, irrespective of the model that you're working on. That's practice will make perfect. So my input to all of you will be just get started, just get it going, right? Start thinking about a problem. Start thinking about. I use it for everything, like including asking dumb questions about like things that my kids ask me for, right? I have a 15-year-old at my house and I have a 19-year-old in university right now. They have some random questions that I don't know the answers, and I use generative AI a lot just to get to know how to get more information about that subject. Obviously, with the understanding that there's could be some a little bit of hallucination, so you want to make sure that you ask the right question and check the facts. But with that is to say, practice makes perfect, and the best way to do is just by practicing, using it every day. Some of you may be in college to this day, and you may be looking at when I graduate, what do I do? My take will be if you start practicing today, when you go into an interview or whatever, you could talk about your experience using it. So that will make you a little bit more. That will make you that curious person that some of us are looking for, right? People that are, oh, maybe that's not what I studied, but I am very curious. This is all the things that I have learned. Look at my experience. Look at this type of examples. And by just talking to us about this type of things, you demonstrate that you can do it and you have done it. And then it's easier for you to find your role of your dreams, right? Even if I think, anyways, let me just stop, right? Because I know you have more questions, and as I mentioned already, I talk a lot.
Yeah, there's a question on the chat.
Yeah, I just want to make a comment, Jose. I'm sorry,
sorry.
I think you touched on a very interesting point because I mentioned, you will make your work day by day easier. It's not only the work, it's the personal too. So you gave a lot of examples about your kids. I mean, you can use GenAI to help you plan your next trip, or you can ask, you can have GenAI helping you to study for tests. So there's a lot of things you can do in your day by day that will get you to understand the potential of it. So it will be a lot easier to apply there later on when you start a job. So I think, Jose, that was a very, very nice, important point because we can all use it.
Absolutely. There's a question from George. George, can you unmute yourself and explain more about his question is, what about physics-informed neural networks? Can you explain that a little bit more, George, please?
Well, I just wanted to, get their input on that. Just I don't know if it's related to what we're talking about, so I want to see what their input is on that, if they're familiar with it.
I wish I had half of my team around here, which is the team that are all working about AI, and like specifically like the tech on it. I don't have an answer for you. I don't have an answer for you about this because I'm not in the actual LLM building. I am more on the using part of it, right? How do I take the LLM outcomes and then help our corporation to protect it, to help protect Microsoft, right? So that's kind of my role. But that's a good question. Then I will take it and I may respond back and give it to Anna, and then we can take it from there.
Absolutely. There's
Great.
another
Same here.
question from Martha Montufar. How do you collect the info to give to AI? Marta, if you want to unmute yourself and explain a little bit more, that would be awesome.
Yeah, you had mentioned that AI will do all the data analysis.
Mhm.
Well, but you have to input the data as you do your workshops or whatever it is that you're offering. But SurveyMonkey does that. And what I'm hearing from you is that I'm going to plan a vacation, but well, do you want us to be so dependent on AI that we forget our creativity and our own way to solve problems and to I can't even plan my vacation? Or I mean, I'm having an issue with both of those comments that you just made.
Okay. So I think, Marta, and thank you for your question. So if we use a large language model, they're open source, they are already pre-trained with a lot of information. So if you think about like planning vacation, you do not need to actually put your own information in there if you use one of the large language model that already has pre-trained content. The way I like to do that, or the way I like to think about that to address your concern about I do not have creativity anymore. It's not, I think it will help you to brainstorm more options. So if you think about yourself, about what can I do on my vacation versus you use a large language model to kind of chat about it, and can you give me some options? What are some kind of activities that I can think about to do on my vacation, considering I like this, and that? So I would see that as kind of a partner, kind of a friend, kind of a colleague that you can talk to explore more options. So it's not only your head thinking about it, but it's more heads or people that has a lot of information that was fit into it. And then of course it's up to you to actually decide what you want to do. Or maybe if you want to save time, you can ask help to build a schedule. What do I do on day 1, day 2, or day 3, based it on the knowledge? But it's not that I don't see it as restricting the creativity, but as Jose said, there's all tricks and magic behind about how you ask the question, how you use to actually empower the creativity that you can have in a particular topic.
Jose?
Yeah, I understand where you're coming from in a way, right? So let me answer you the first question. Well, how do you do the context, right? So obviously the LLM is already trained for some specific things, but you could also give additional context, right? That doesn't go to the bigger LLM, right? If you're using the right platform, that then it could analyze the information and do a paper for you, help you move faster. It's not going to do it for you. It's going to give you an outcome of it that you will think about it, look into it, and produce it better or make it better. But it's mostly coming from you itself, right? The other thing that it could be used, and we use it a lot, is to analyze big amount of data. No human being can look at 100,000 rows of text and then try to do the same analysis that you do for row number 1 that you do for row 102. LLMs will help you be more consistent in thinking about that. Categorization of information, things like that, it's super valuable for that. And that it's almost impossible, not impossible for a human, an actual human, to do it one by one, which will allow us to scale, be more efficient, and do more with the people that we have around us, right? So that's kind of the way that I think about it. The vacation part is interesting. It could help you, obviously, as Giovanna well mentioned, but it may be something that you already have the creativity. I want to go to Hawaii and hang out in the beach. I want to surf. Can you help me understand where are the best surfing places, or where are the best surfing instructors based on Yelp reviews or Google results, right? And that could allow you to make a better decision, or maybe some different decision that you may not have thought about, or it will shorten the time that it will take you to do all the research to find that information, right? So that's kind of the way that I think about it, not about the creativity. I think human beings still super creative, and to this day, I don't think LLMs will surpass us. But with that is to say, the whole deal is, as Giovanna will mention, is your companion. It's something that can help you make decisions or spark even more your creativity, if that makes sense. That was a great question. I like it.
Absolutely. Juliana Destro, please, you said a comment. Could you please comment on some ethical considerations and responsible AI? What are your concerns for potential misuse? Please, Juliana, unmute yourself and explain a little bit more.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yes.
See me? Yes, because one of the areas I work with is responsible AI, and that's a big concern, I guess, for everyone, right? So I would like to hear from both of you. Oh, what are your concerns? What are the things that you think we could apply to make the use of generative AI, especially more ethical for humans?
You want me to start, Giovanna, or you want to get it going?
Just, you can start because I started the other one. So,
all right. So, first of all, full disclaimer: Juliana worked with me, right? And this was not a planned question, so I love it that she's putting me on the spot here. Let me start with that, because I just want to make it clear. Obviously, she knows how much I care about responsible AI, but you don't know this. It's super important that whenever we are building solutions for our customers, for ourselves, for whoever, we take into account biases that the models may be trained on, or even the meta prompts, which is the prompt that you do behind the scene to give you the answer, right? How well do you construct that so that it'll give you outcomes that are harmful or maybe irresponsible? Especially for our community, I would just including myself here in the Hispanic community and the Latinx community, it's super, super relevant for us, right? That these outcomes are very inclusive of our point of view and our thinking as well. So at least for us, and I will speak a little bit about Microsoft, we care a lot about this, right? No product goes live today without a responsible AI assessment and review, right, as an example. And that's literally, you don't go live, you don't ship to our customers if you don't have that review done. So that will be kind of on that one. And I just want to disclaim that Juliana works for me, so that's why I wanted to go first, Giovanna, so that I got that covered. But with that, Giovanna, I would love to hear your thoughts.
No, thank you, Jose, and thank you, Juliana. I think it's ethics. It's crucial item we've been discussing on the word of Gen AI. It's not only you, Juliana, or me representing IBM, or Jose representing Microsoft. It's the entire companies that worries about that. And there's a lot of studies that shows that really executives are worried about AI, ethics in AI, and they understand the ethics is important, especially on the competitive advantage. And I just bring some numbers from the IBV study here. Like 79% of execs thinks AI is crucial, and almost the same amount think this is a competitive advantage, but only 25% are doing something about it. And I think this is what we need to pay attention and think about. What can we do? So when Jose mentioned about the prompt, so I think ethics and security goes really hand by hand. So what kind of security items that you include on your solution when you're getting data, when you're working on the prompt, when you're developing your large language model, when you're actually running the solution, what kind of security you have to avoid any kind of bias, as Jose said. And we can do a specific test, like just mention a simple one. You can be totally unpolite with the system and see how it will respond back. You can't force bias and see how it responds back. So we kind of test ethics on that. In terms of IBM and overall company, some actions that we do is we do also have an ethics department, as Microsoft has, that Jose mentioned. But I think we also, one thing that we do a lot is we want to be intentional and make sure that we spread the word across every employee. So it's not only the ethics departments that are responsible for the ethics, but we have learnings, we have yearly assessments with all of our employees that will go deep on detail about what ethics in my work means. Because it's super complex. It's not that simple. When you talk about bias, when you talk about trust, so we want to make sure that we empower our own employees with that information. So in case they also see something, they know how to report, where to report, and they also start educate themselves. Sometimes, when I do all those learnings and understand, I figured out something that was doing that was not, maybe was not ethic, and it was not, I mean, so we try to work from the base, from bottom to top and top to bottom both ways. So I think those are some of the items we do need to do in order to be 100% ethic.
Awesome. Well, we have another question here from Leroy Vallejo. Leroy, I'm going to read your question, but if you can unmute yourself. Do you know of any examples industry-wide where MS Copilot has been leveraged successfully and hold on, I need to scroll down, and implemented it within an organization by training an internal LLM to expedite/facilitate end user cross-functional collaboration, or either day-to-day work or larger projects? Please, Leroy, unmute yourself and explain it better than I did.
Yes, no, I think you did. If everybody can hear me just fine.
Yes.
This is Leroy. Yes, so yeah, pretty much you explained it perfectly, but just elaborating at a high level. Yeah, so I've been going to conferences in the past few months where we'd had similar discussions around this, and one of the tools that had been looked at that could be potentially leveraged around different parts of the industry has been conversations revolving around Copilot, and the discussion floating around building internal LLMs within these organizations, right? And I think that could be something high level enough where people in management and above, and even people that are more technical, could all be involved in that conversation and saying, what does that training look like? What does a successful example look like within an organization, and that involvement either day to day or at a project level. And so, that way I'm also trying to kind of implement that or potentially be a part of that within my organization once that is, I guess, mostly accepted and we get that green light.
All right.
Thank you.
I can give it a try, Leroy, and see if I can tackle that one.
No problem,
Given
Jose.
that you talk about Microsoft Copilot, which is a cool call out there, but I am not here. I'm not a salesperson. I actually don't know anything about sales. With that said, I think there's one thing that we all should be clear. There's the concept of retraining a model like you do for a machine learning model, and there's the concept of fine tuning a model, right? In the words of large language models, specifically for GPT and things like that, retraining a model, it's what the bigger foundational models will do for you, right? That's very costly. It takes a lot of time, a lot of data just to retrain a model, meaning moving from GPT-3 to 3.5 to 4 to 4 Turbo, right? As an example, that's what we will call retrain a model. And then you have the fine-tuning of a model, like the security copilot in Microsoft will be a good example. It's fine-tuned specifically for incident management in the security space. So when you ask a question, it kind of know that context already about, oh yeah, this is related to security because it's interacting with me through this process, right? Then you have the context of the model. That is that we use embeddings and vectors, right, for that. And there's like, oh yeah, I have a question about Giovanna and my conversation with Giovanna that we had last week. And then if you implemented the Microsoft security as an example, the work one, Copilot, the M365 Copilot, I'm so sorry, I can ask a question, and if that conversation was allowed for the Copilot, meaning we transcribed it, Giovanna and I talked about this, okay, yeah, let's transcript it so that we record this session, then it could give me the outcome of it, and it can actually help my life. I can tell you right now, We use it in all my team meetings. We record all our sessions and transcribe them all. And then we ask the Copilot, can you give me the notes and the actions that came out of that meeting? And I'm telling you right now, it's super accurate, right? It gives me the right context and all. Now, that means that Microsoft, when we implemented this, we took the right security aspect of it, right? To ensure that this data is not shared with the bigger large language model, that people cannot just search on your home and try to find the information about Joanna and Jose's meeting and what happened there, right? Because it's not public information, it's private for us only. But it's currently implemented and it's very well used. And I'm telling you right now, it's magical, it's super cool. I will give you another example, right? I needed to do a paper for some specific ask that my boss asked me for. And I am very Latino, I'm very Puerto Rican. I am not good at writing and I am not necessarily the best writer, but I am very good at talking, as you could tell at this point. So what I did is I recorded myself, transcribed myself, right? Recorded myself for an hour talking about a specific thing that I wanted to write the paper, and then use the Word Copilot, right? The one that is not shared with anybody else, right? And pass that transcript to the Copilot by giving the right prompts and ask them to build me a paper. And it gave me 90% of the work already done. So it's something that would have taken me 2 weeks or so. It took me half a day. And it looked amazing. Sent it to my boss. I was very clear with my boss. Hey, this was with the help of Copilot, so just be aware. Don't ask me to do a paper like this, and I will deliver to you half a day. But because I used the technology, like so, what I was talking at the very, very beginning about practice makes perfect. The reason I think I was successful to make that happen is because I practiced with it so much that I was able to give the right context to the model and ask the right questions so that it gave me the right outcome. And then I added more and more stuff. But I just want to say that as a ways that I have seen it because I live it every day. And it's real. And I'm sure you want to probably have a similar scenario on her mind, but I just wanted to share that with you. Hopefully this answers your question, Leroy.
Absolutely. Thank you. No, I appreciate it.
And I have to say, I've used it as well. And while the AI is not perfect, meaning that if you don't ask the right question, it's not going to help you in any way at all. So you have to still show your creativity, still kind of imagine what is a question that AI can answer to help you. So please talk about that, Jose and Giovanna.
Yeah, no, one thing that I kept, we are working on GenAI inside supply chain to build codes. So we ask a question and the system will generate an SQL based on the data that we provide. But what we have been realized that we are working a lot is it's not that we only need to skill ourselves in the technology part. I mean, the technology people, the high skill SMEs and data scientists, prompt engineering is not only that. It's data architect. It's especially the end user. It's especially the consumers. We need to train the consumers. So everyone that is an end user that's using Copilot, ChatGPT, whatever, or our own large language model in IBM, we need to know how I talk to the system. How do I interact with the system? Because it has changed. We were used to, click here, click there. Oh, I got a report. Or we used to, look for a page and click and click and click. And now, no. Now you need to make the right question. And I keep thinking about, the way I explain that is, pretend you have a new hire. You gotta teach that person how to do the job. So you need to give all the detailed information, otherwise you will not help. You would just mess it up. So you need to give, the more detail you give, the better answer the outcome will be. And then again, back to the Jose points, is the practice. You ask something, it's not the way you want, you give more details, no, actually I want to see that way. Can you give me one column for that, one line for that? Can you summarize in 2 paragraphs? Whatever you need to be explicit, and then you start getting the help you need.
And I can't stop thinking about this, and I want to say, like, as you said very, very early, Giovanna, about we are still in the beginning stage of this big journey, and it's so funny because I think well, the things that we're saying today is applicable for today. We don't know what will happen in a year from now, right? It may be that it has some context about us because it have been trained with the fabric over time, and then already you don't have to ask the detailed question. You may ask a more random question that will give you kind of predict what you're asking for, but that's just Jose's imagination. That's not reality. But I will give you another cool example that I used this weekend. I went to Vancouver, Canada, to my son's game. It's a driving distance from Seattle, so just in case, it's not that I'm like traveling like crazy. Anyhow, that's it. I wanted to eat sushi because it's Vancouver. Why don't we try sushi there, right? Normal scenario, I will ask, hey, what are good sushi places to eat? And it will give me a list, right? But then instead of me asking that question, I say, can you give me the best sushi places oh my Lord, that are based on Google and Yelp results, right? And reviews. And then it gave me the 1 to 5 based on the summary of all of them and took in consideration the amount of reviews that the place had, right? It's not like, oh, one has 5 stars, but it's only 2 reviews. It actually gave me the ones with the most reviews, right? With the higher number of stars. And I checked it in Google and Yelp just for fun, because here I am eating sushi, nothing to do with only talking and talking about that. And it was very real. Now, that is the way for interacting, that you kind of learn this and do it by default over time. And that's why we talk about practice, right? Because like Alan Iverson like to say, are you talking about practice? So yes, we need to practice, right? So sorry, I get my.
I have a non-scripted question for both of you. As I continue to practice with generative AI, is that tool able to learn from what I write, or do I have to continue to do my phrases more specific for me to get my answer?
That's an interesting question. Joanne, I think you wanted to answer. Go
No,
first.
I would say I think it depends on what kind of app you're using it and all the security behind the scenes on it, because it could get your profile, so you would get to know you more. Oh, this is usually what Anna asks, this is what Anna's interested in. But if there's a lot of restriction, especially because of PI and stuff like that, maybe we'll stay on the standard base. So I think I don't know the answer, because it really depends on the app you're using and what is behind the scenes.
Totally, 100% what Giovanna was saying.
Because we have all these Echo Dots or Alexas and whatever, and they're supposed to learn from what you ask and whatever. So I wondered if generative AI, as it now exists or is coming up, works the same way.
I think, and I will add a technical part because I'm a technical guy, so I just love to talk about this stuff. That there's the limitation of tokens, meaning how much prompt, how much context you could give to the model, right? The way that I like to talk about generative AI, it's you have Albert Einstein that knows a lot, but doesn't know anything after 2020, right? As an example. So if you ask for the weather today, it doesn't know. But if you have the historical weather for the past, it will look back and actually tell you that this is it, right? So the context is key. But today, depending on the model that you're using, you have some limitations of the amount of tokens that context could contain, right? 60 pages, 70 pages, whatever. So it cannot just have all your historical information, because it's just going to be a humongous amount of data. Imagine that multiplied by 2 billion people, I think we are, or something along those lines. So 4 billion, I don't even know how population we have. But that's just going to be too much data for us to handle, any company to handle. That is today.
Absolutely.
Right? I just want to say this. That is today. The future, it's unpredictable. And most of these things move in a logarithmic scale. So it just don't move. It doesn't move straight line. It moves like a hockey stick. So it could easily be that in a year you hear this talk and you say, these people were all crazy. Right? This is so easy to do. Here you are, right? But I just want to that will be kind of that. And I think what you wanna hit on the nail there. Like it's the type of app that you may be using, the type of model that you're interacting. It may get there or it may not.
Okay, let me ask. We are 15 minutes before this talk ends. What opportunities are there? You are all hiring or business people. As a student, as a professional, that I am very interested in this field. What should I do to get in there, to get to Microsoft, to get to IBM? What do I need to learn? What do I need to do?
Okay, I'll get started. I think, as I mentioned in the beginning, it's not a specific skill. I mean, if you're super technical, you're data engineering, data architect, developer, it's gonna have a lot of fields for you. But if you're not, it's still a lot of fields. I think one thing that's very interesting today is that you kind of get to know how to navigate between the technical and the business part. If you're too technical and you cannot talk with the business people, you'll not be able to pass the message. But if you're only on the business side, but you know nothing on the technical, and you're not worried about to learn the basics, you're also not going to be able to have a productive conversation. So my take is, you need to understand what's going on the world. You need to understand the basics, and then if you're on the technical side, I would focus, data engineering, prompt engineering, and stuff like that. That would be very valuable. But it's not, if you're not technical, it's not that you need to go there. There is a lot more you can learn on the business side, knowing the basics.
That's all. That's awesome, Giovanna. Let me cherry pick on what you just said and then continue on my end. I say what I'm looking in most cases is curiosity, right? It's a person that is curious, want to learn more, want to know why. Why am I doing this? So if you go to an interview with me, just let me tell you this right now. I'm going to ask you, why are you doing this? Why are this work? I just want to learn. Are you curious enough to know why are you doing what you're doing, or why are you studying what you're studying? And give me some examples of things that you have developed or you have done through your college career, through your actual career, right? Give me some examples. Let's talk about them. And I want to see excitement out of it, right? Like, oh yeah, I did this and I love it, and here's the things that I want to do more, and I would love to learn this technology because that will allow me to do this and that, right? That's the type of people that I am super interested about. Obviously, you have to have the technical knowledge if you want to, like as Giovanna will mention, if you want to do a technical job, obviously don't come to, let's say, a data science role and you have a bachelor's degree in something that is nothing to do with data science. Because obviously you're not even going to pass the first kind of the fishing chinchorro. I don't know how to say in English, but with that said, like, you're not going to pass that nest, right? But if you are getting there, my always thinking is, have your technical chops in the right place, and then what is going to get you to the next level will be your curiosity and your show up. And how do you show up as a human? How do you have a conversation with me? How are you able to explain concepts? Because that's going to get you even farther in your career as you move forward. But be curious, practice a lot, do a lot of like projects in your university that could get you to the right role. Get interested, do it, get it to the next level, deploy it to whatever version of production you want to call it, and then showcase that in whenever you go to an interview, because that's for sure a person like me or Giovanna will appreciate that big time, right? Because just demonstrate that you like what you do, and that's the type of people that we want to have. We want to have people that want to have meaningful careers, right? That then you can then have a meaningful work, and then you could see your career path going forward. That would be kind of my additional input on everything that you guys already said. Oh, you are muted, Anna.
You're muted, Anna.
My apologies. There's one last question. We have 10 minutes before this ends. It's from George, and he says, I'm interested in the theory and mathematical foundation behind generative AI any good resources? George, unmute yourself and explain a little bit more if you want. And also, Carlos, if you you agreed with him, so unmute yourself and ask your last questions for the last 10 minutes that we have.
All right, George, you can take point. I'm unmuted. I was just giving advice about which papers you should refer to.
Yeah. I just want to learn more the foundation, because I think that's important, right? Applications is good too, but just getting a general, mathematical foundation would be good, so that I can understand, or at least I can better implement the applications, right? And so yeah, just any good resources online, books, anything's good. Yeah.
So
Sorry, Prieto, I'm going to have to interject. So before I can give you my answer, what is your background in? I'm assuming you're in STEM, correct? Are you an engineer? Do you do computer science yourself?
Yeah, well, I'm a PhD student and doing computational mathematics and learning about neural networks, machine learning, and computational fluid dynamics, that sort of thing. Yeah.
Okay. So it just sounds like everything that you pretty much need, you pretty much have down. I mean, the biggest thing that, at least for convolutional networks that we work in my field, it's really a lot of linear algebra and a lot of stats, stats, especially if you're developing your algorithms. But that's just me on my name. Mr. Prieto has that's especially with this technical.
Yeah. Sorry to cut you off there. Oh, I was just gonna ask. So like, there's different levels to stats, right? Like all the way from like descriptive statistics, or from descriptive statistics all the way to measure theory, right? How far do I have to go? And like, do I have to go all the way to like that hardcore rigorous kind of like measure theory, or just like somewhere in the middle for stats? Yeah.
So who else was answering you? I think was Carlos. Carlos, do you want to take that one on? You seem to know about that. Like, I'm more about the application of large language models into our business, not necessarily how do we build a large language model. What I was going to recommend you is I actually follow one podcast that I really enjoy. It's called Eye on AI. It's quite interesting. It's obviously, take it with a grain of salt who the person is talking there, but it's quite interesting about, like, it talks a lot about the foundational models and how that's created. So it may be music to your ear to learn about that. The other thing that I would say is you ask AI itself, right? It's likely to give you the answer also and point you to some directions. I have been surprised about that, by the way, and it's very easy to show you what is it that I do and how do I learn about this stuff. And so that would be my other input to you, but I maybe you want to have a better input.
Yeah, no, thank you, Jose. No, actually, I do not have a specific recommendation. I can try and look for that, and then maybe I can send you on it later on. But one thing I see more on working with the large language models, it's reaching a good level of accuracy and trust. It's not that easy. So Carlos mentioned statistics. There's a lot going on to make sure we have the answers right. Otherwise, we lose our users. They will not trust the system anymore. So there's a lot on statistics. That's it. Thank you. There's a lot on that. There's a lot like how you test the system in terms of false positives, false negatives. We usually have our own golden test suite that we use to make the test and make sure it's accurate. We need tools to make sure we are able to explode the maximum that we can in terms of number of possible combinations of a questions or of a domain or a system. I may not know the exactly technical thing you're looking for, but I would go on the, what can you do to explode all the variations you can have in a specific situation? What can you do to make sure the answer is correct and not giving you false positives or false negatives that in the end of the day will bring to hallucinations? And then I'll try, I love Jose, ask AI. He may be able to help you more with the specific book or learning, but if I get something else, I shoot to Anna, and then I don't know if there's a way we can communicate back, but I'll try to find that out for you.
And then I like to echo what she's saying. And just to answer your question specifically, one, as a consolation, you're in a very, very good spot just for your PhD alone. Second, depending on how advanced, and correct me if I'm wrong, you wanted to know how far along or how much stats you would need to specifically know. I mean, the answer is always it depends. Specifically for us in convolutional networks, they've asked quite differently than LLMs. So, I can give you like the general idea, like for example, we use a lot of Bayes' theorem, right? We use a lot of decision trees, and on top of that, maybe some Markov models or Markov chains. But that also includes the already precedent algorithms that are already out there in machine learning in itself, right? And that's something that goes back decades. So people talk about the basic convolutional network with a sigmoid, right? That was the 80s. Now we've gotten to a point where, hell, somewhere in Texas, in El Paso, there's a professor that literally got rid of the ReLU. Like there's no longer need for ReLU anymore, and he just figured that out. And now he's like the most cited professor in the entire world in regards of that specific thing. That I haven't read the article or the research publication just yet, but I can give you my contact information as well in case you want like a list of what we do, because we do computer vision and some collision avoidance type stuff. But that doesn't, address the LLM or anything related to that part of subset of machine learning, et cetera, et cetera. That if everybody understands what I mean by that.
Awesome. Well, it's 3 minutes before we end. The time goes so fast. And I have to say, IBM, Microsoft, thank you for being here, answering all the questions. Jose, if you know that question that somebody asked, send me the information way back when in our talk, so I can send it to George. I think he was the one who asked. In any case, thank you again, participants. Thank you for taking the time to be here with us. I put the link and the QR code in the chat. Please let IBM and Microsoft know how they did. It's very important, because we want to continue this great partnership with them. And if we give them the feedback, they are open to that. And we need to at least tell them how they did. And I know they did fabulously, but your feedback is incredibly helpful and incredibly important for not only us, but also for Microsoft and IBM. In any case, we're 2 minutes out. Any last questions? Any last thing? Now's the time.
I just want to say thank you, Anna, for inviting me here. This was awesome. I love the question. I love the engagement. I love to get on the spot and not know the answers of questions. So it is super cool. I learned with Giovanna as well. So this was awesome, Giovanna. Pleasure to meet you as well. So thank you for inviting me here.
Absolutely. I look forward to continuing our partnership. Thank you, participants. Thank you, presenters. And once I get the feedback, it may be a lot, it may be a few, but I will share that with you. Thank you all.
It has been amazing. Thank you all for your participation. That's really nice.
Awesome.
Thank you, guys.
Awesome. Have a good night, everyone.
Vale.
Bye. Thank you.